Nice to see you all again. Jared here, Red Racer Video. Today I'm bringing you another car review. Today's car we're bringing is the 2017 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. Now I know what you're thinking. This is not very muscle car. This is not very high horsepower. But as many of you know, I also drive a 2016 Honda CR-V. That's my wife's car. I drive as my daily driver now a 1998 Honda CR-V. So I've been a big Honda guy. I've worked for Honda for a long time. I am a huge Chev guy. You'll know that. But again, if you follow the channel, you probably know that I'm a big Honda guy as well. This car is special. In my opinion, this is a car that a lot of people are sleeping on. The Honda Accord Touring Hybrid is by far and away the best hybrid on the market. Bang for your buck for what you get. If you're shopping for a hybrid and you're not looking for the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid or just the Honda Accord Hybrid in itself, in my opinion, you guys are missing the boat. This car has plenty of power, excellent fuel economy. I'm averaging like 46 so far, and I, in the spirit of full disclosure, have been driving this car fairly hard. It also has been seeing a lot of freeway because I drove out here to my spot where I like to shoot cars. It's a pretty good little freeway drive, so you don't get a lot of the around town. I was averaging like 64.7 miles a gallon before I hit the freeway. So if you're driving around in EV mode and you're trying to get the most out of it and you're letting it regeneratively brake and do those things, the fuel economy these things can see is out, I mean, just, it's out of this world. Having said that, if you're doing mostly freeway driving, you're probably not gonna see that 55 number. But real world driving, back and forth, little freeway, little city, I've seen 55, I've seen as high as 64.5. So I'm gonna go jump in now, take you guys for a little bit of a drive, show you a little bit of the features, things like that. But thanks for coming with me. Let's go check this thing out a little more thoroughly, guys. Let's go. 2017 Accord Hybrid Touring. The previous Accord Hybrid was actually a V6 hybrid. Made excellent power, excellent torque, and with the torque that you get from the electric motors, the hybrids, like a lot of people don't know, the beauty of an electric motor is that those electric motors come in immediately. The power is immediately there. I, for one, expected this car to be a lot less peppy. I expected it to be less responsive. I didn't expect it to be that fun to drive. But we'll give you a real quick blast here, just kind of like a 0 to 60, and I'll turn the telemetry on for the camera for this, but we'll show you exactly what the 0 to 60 feels like, and you'll see, you know, it's not going to create a massive amount of G-forces by any stretch, but for a 4-cylinder and a hybrid at that, I mean, I would say that this car is going to perform better than most people expect. So we'll give you a quick 0 to 60 blast here. So again, nothing crazy as far as the acceleration goes, but it is very, very smooth. The Accord Hybrid is powered by a 2-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder as well as 2 electric motors. The total output they claim at about 200, I think it's 212 horsepower. The torque is actually like 232 foot-pounds of torque. This car is not going to blow anybody away with its performance, but I think that it's going to exceed the expectations of most people. I think most people that buy a car expecting to try and coax 50 miles a gallon out of it, I think one of the last things they're thinking about in that scenario is performance. It will do like a 6.9 second 0 to 60, I believe, and I want to say the quarter mile it ran in like 15.3 seconds. So that's not bad considering the car will get, again, I've seen it as high as 64 miles a gallon. I've seen it as low as about 35. So it really kind of depends on, I think, how you drive them and just exactly what, you know, your foot is like or how heavy your foot is. If you're like me, I probably am never going to see 50 miles a gallon out of the car. One of the things I love about this car that Honda did, is they gave it LED headlights, running lights, fog lights, and tail lights. So many times you see manufacturers put a bunch of LEDs in a car and then they leave ugly yellow halogen fog lights in the cars. For the life of me, I can't figure out why manufacturers do that. And if anybody here is listening and you have any say in any kind of manufacturing process of any automobile, Do not leave halogen fog lights in a car with LED headlights. You can't do it. You're ruining the look. You might as well not put any LEDs in it at all. But Honda did it right. It's smooth in steering. It's got a very good steering feel. I want to call it soft, but that soft sounds bad. It's just not jerky. It's smooth in the touch, yet it's still responsive. I'm traveling on a little bit of a graveled road here, so you may hear a little bit here and there of stuff flipping up, but for the most part, this thing is like silent inside. It's quiet. I mean, it's just a joy to drive. I've owned 3 Accords in this body style, all 4 cylinders, the 2.4 liter and the non-hybrid. And I'll be honest, I went into that expecting to want V6 power, and I don't think I ever would spend the money on the V6 after having owned one. The CVT transmission that's in these cars, and say what you will about a CVT, and I'm right there with you. I was way upset when Honda went to a CVT in the Accord until I owned one. The CVT in this car is smooth, it's responsive. I've driven a lot of CVTs, Subaru CVT, Nissan CVT, and in my opinion, those CVTs leave a lot to be desired. You give them gas and they don't use, in my opinion, the main benefit of a CVT in that it creates its own gearing. So at any speed, you should be able to put your foot in it, have the RPMs jump up to whatever the ideal power band for that car is, and take off. I mean, they should run, they should perform. For some reason, Honda's the only one that figured that out. When you ask these cars to take off, they take off. Their CVTs work seamlessly, and they still feel sure of themselves. When it does, they use simulated shifts, so if you really get out of the gas, it'll drop the RPMs quickly to kind of simulate a shift, and I think they do that for a lot of people so that it still just feels traditional. But the performance is there, the smoothness is there. I am a huge fan in the way that Honda CVT operates. In all 3 cars that I've had now, it's been a joy. Much to the contrary of what I expected to think about a CVT transmission. So for those of you out there, if the CVT is a deal breaker for you because you've driven other CVTs, do not judge Honda CVT based on another manufacturer's CVT. It's just not fair, and I think you're going to count out a car that I think you would otherwise really like. So CVT transmission in this hybrid, no different. Works great. Love the way that the CVT works. This car, as far as feature content goes, has everything. It's got your adaptive cruise control, so it'll pace the car in front of you. You can select the distance. I think there's 4 distance settings you can select there. It does have lane departure warning, so if you're leaving your lane, the car's flashing at you in the windshield and telling you that. It's also got lane keeping assist, so when you press the button here on the steering wheel that keeps you in your lane, for a period of time it will actually steer you and keep you in those lanes. But after a short period of time, the dash starts blinking at you and tells you that it wants you to hold on to the steering wheel. So I have found it's not nearly as cool as the Tesla system, but it does do its job. It does help keep you in your lane, and it is a driver assist feature that I like. The collision mitigated braking portion of it is pretty phenomenal. I have let it do its job a couple of times. It takes a lot of restraint on your part as a driver not to want to jump on the brake pedal, but if it feels you coming up on somebody too quickly, it will jump on the brakes and jam the brakes up. So I am not going to test whether or not it will keep me from crashing, but I have had it step in and I have had it show what it'll do. It is a pretty cool feature. Again, the touring model also has the parking sensors at all 4 corners of the car. So when I was pulling in my garage last night, it started to warn me when the front right corner of the car had something too close to it. It starts to warn you when you're backing if there's something too close. This one's got cameras in the back, so it's got the backup camera, as well as Honda calls it the lane watch feature. When you turn on this right-hand signal, right here in the middle of your dash in your big 8-inch display, I believe it's 8 inches, in your 8-inch display, it will show you what's on the right-hand side of your car, virtually eliminating the blind spot on the passenger side of your car. For those that don't like the drive assist features, you can shut them off. They are defeatable. You can shut off the lane departure warning. You can shut off the parking sensors. You can choose not to use the adaptive cruise control if you just want to set your cruise. And you can choose not to use the lane keeping assist feature while using the cruise control. So none of those features are intrusive in my opinion, because they're all defeatable, which I think is a nice feature And I don't think that all the manufacturers give you that. So kudos to Honda for letting people not have those features if they don't like them. I, for one, like leaving them all on, contrary to what I thought. I thought that would be something that I would like to have off, and I find myself using every one of those features. Getting back to the comfort and convenience, you've got heated seats in the front and rear seats, which is cool. You've got heated mirrors, dual zone climate control, and it is automatic, so you can set the temperature and just let the car run with it, which I have been doing the whole time I've been in the car. Home link for your garage door openers, so you don't have to leave a garage door opener in your car. You can program everything in your house that is automated to the car, which is slick. You can pull up to the house, turn your lights on, open your garage doors, whatever it might be. Touring model or EX and above in Honda automatically gives you a sunroof, so you've also got one of those. Nice sunroof. It will pop tilt as well as fully open, so I do like the sunroofs there. Your mirrors are lit. You've got all your features that way. The touring model does give you an upgraded radio with a subwoofer in the back and 2 tweeters up in the front. The stereo, Honda, I will give you this. The sound of this stereo is money. I won't say that it could have used some more bass, sure, but it's got great highs, decent mids. It's a nice stereo. But anyone who owns one of these will probably tell you, and I have observed in this car as well, for some reason, basically the spot between the windshield or the back window and the back seats, there's a tray where speakers sit under there. In this car, the subwoofer sits under there. But when you're listening to the radio, and I tend to listen to the radio fairly loud, when I'm in the car, I like to jam out. It's just, that's my time. That's how I decompress. That's what I do. But when you've got a song in here and it's playing fairly loud, you get an awful lot of noise out of this car. And by noise, I mean that back package tray or that back shelf rattles like crazy. I mean, when the bass hits, it, I mean, you get, with every bass hit you get an accompanied rattle from that package tray. So Honda, that is annoying. Fix that. That quite literally is probably the only complaint that I've got in this car, in my time in this car now, going on almost 2 days, is that the back package tray in that thing has about driven me to drink. It is driving me flipping bonkers. I'm not going to say it's ruining the experience, but for someone like me who loves my music when I'm in a car, that is quite frustrating. That is a nuisance for sure. Back to content, your center console in the car shows you a number of things. Your home screen brings up navigation, phone, your settings menu, your smartphone connections, your audio, another list of different things you can go through and change. So there's plenty you can show. With the numerous configuration options they give you, you can essentially have any number of settings or any amount of information showing at one time between your number of different screens that you have, because you can also toggle through what's showing in the center of your information display here with the buttons on your steering wheel. So lots of stuff that can be customized, and for a lot of people, including myself, customization is the name of the game. So I have found that to be incredibly useful and very, very nice. The feature content is phenomenal. And in an EX, this car's only like 30 grand or 29 grand. So when you take into consideration that you get performance, you get fuel economy, you get comfort, and you get what Honda gives you, which is a reliable car that you're not going to have to worry about day in and day out. Even in this touring model, and I think the touring model gets you pretty close to 36 grand. For the life of me, I can't think of how you could better spend 35,000 bucks. And right now, like this car that I'm in, this is a certified used car with 7,000 miles on it. You could purchase this car, I think it's on their lot right now for like 28.5 or something like that. So it's crazy the amount of car this is. So if you guys are looking for cars and you're considering this car, I think this car is a steal for what you're getting. A steal. I mean, like, one of the best bargains you can get your hands on, I believe I'm sitting in at this present time. So right now, my current drive, I have been driving a little bit of back road / highway-ish driving, a little bit of city driving. I do have it in the regenerative braking mode to help charge up the batteries as much as possible. And I have, let's see what I've been getting. So for right now, for my current drive, because this car keeps track, every time you turn the car on, it keeps track of that current drive. So what have you gotten in this drive of your car? And right now, my current drive is 50.3 miles per gallon. So I will tell you, the drive before this one, where I drove out to the spot where I did my filming for the car, I did not see really any stop and go driving, and on that drive I got 38.3 miles a gallon. So when you're not letting the batteries charge up and you're not letting the electric motors do their job at all, and you're just hoofing it down the road, you're going to see a lot more realistic fuel economy numbers. Somewhere, like I say, the worst I've seen this car get so far is about 38, but I'm averaging, if I go look at what the average I've had since I picked this car up is, I'm averaging 41.2 miles a gallon. So again, I have done a lot of acceleration tests in this car, and I've had some time where I just sat and filmed the feature content of the car with the air conditioning running. So the way I've driven this car is probably not the most accurate depiction of what the fuel economy would be in this car, but that gives you an idea. My experience in this car for these past 2 days has been nothing short of impressive. Again, performance is phenomenal, the looks are there, the comfort is there. There's not one thing about this car that I don't like, and I'll be quite frank, if I didn't have more cars than I knew what to do with right now, including one that's just sitting in a shop waiting for an engine, I could absolutely see myself owning one of these cars. If you're calculating cost of ownership, plan on, I would call it 100 to 150,000 miles. You're gonna put a hybrid battery in one of these cars. They're a battery and they wear out. So a lot of people buy these cars and they let them sit around, and then their batteries take a crap on them at like 40,000 miles, but the car's 10 years old, and so they're like, man, I only got 40,000 miles out of this battery. That's nonsense. Not really. A battery is designed to charge and discharge, and if your car sits around, a hybrid is not for you. This video is getting long. I'm looking at the timer on this camera, and obviously there's going to be editing, but I already know I've got a lot of that ahead of me, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. In closing, I'm going to just say that aside from the rattling package tray in the back of this car, I have no gripes. It's just a lot of car for the money. If you guys are looking at one of these, swoop on them before they're gone, because they will not be around long. The Honda Accord Hybrid Touring is money. Buy you one. You heard it here, maybe not first, but you heard it here. You'll notice I do reviews all across the board, so don't just come to me for one type of review. You'll see me bringing you all kinds of stuff. Be sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, as I always say. Thank you again, Ken Garff Honda downtown in Salt Lake City, Utah. Utah's only multi-President Award-winning dealership, 10-time Honda President's Award winner. Come on guys, we're almost to 1,000. Hit that subscribe. You know you want to subscribe. You know you want to do it. Thanks folks. See you on the next one. Jared, Red Racer Video, out of here.